Morning all. I thought I'd get in early and put another video up. We're going back to in my case, the 1950s, the late 50s and the 60s. Time of year which in my opinion was a much nicer time than things are now. Travelling in motors was much easier, least restrictions on things. All the way around, things, in my opinion, were much better then. Now you get into the car and you immediately think, oh, what are you going to be caught out? Going across a dotted line, going a little bit too fast through a speed camera. No, it's motoring now is not happy, and I only do motoring as a complete minimum. In fact, I start the car up about once a week to make sure that it's ticking over. So, no, I don't use the car that much. But what I do remember is the 50s. I suppose my time as a kid. Born in 44, so yeah, I was a kid then. And in the 60s, I'd actually gone to work with the other GPO, which later become BT. So yeah, a lot of things happened in those times. But anyway, let's get back to this lamp. Electrical shops that were around in the 50s and 60s would more or less all of them, all the good quality electrical shops that sold lamps and accessories, would have sold this particular type of lamp, which is a beehive neon. There were 240 volts, very low wattage. I think it was about, let's have a look, so you can see the etch on there. You might just see the etch. In fact, they don't even tell you the one. I think these were about 5 watts. There were 5 watts. It's got 5 watts at the top there. Sorry if the etch is a little bit not very clear. This one is named Osglim, and Osglim was the trade name used by Osram for their neon lamps. And in those days they did the little half-watt neons as indicated it. They were like a pygmy sign lamp. They were a half-watt. Often used in cooker circuits to indicate whether the electrics was going through to the cooker. They also did this lamp with a coating of red on the glass. This is obviously a clear one, but with a ruby coating, and they were specially made for dark rooms. So when you took photos in the old days, now I know it's all electronic and that, but in the old days they were photos were taken. My father did a lot of this. He developed stuff, and the light you used had to be red. Any other colour it would have clouded or made the film completely useless. So the lamp had to show out red, and that's what they gave it, a coating of red varnish. I've never seen one, but I did hear about them. Anyhow, this one, as I say, was probably bought, I'd say this was bought pre-1950s, as it's got the Osglim name. It might have even been from surplus supplies. In those days, and who remembers it, Ben Salmon Radio, which was a surplus shop in Manor Park. It was along the Rumford Road. Ben Salmon Radio, remember them well, and they sold this particular lamp. I don't know how much they were, but I do know that in the 50s and 60s they weren't cheap. They were about 4 shillings, four and sixpence in old money. So they were quite dear then. Now they have seemed to have got a collector's market for these. I've been lucky. I've picked up all my ones at a sensible price. But now I've seen these go for £100 or more, which, once again, to my opinion, seems ridiculous. But there we are. If people are prepared to pay that kind of price, good luck to them. I'm just glad I got mine when I did. And I've got perhaps one of the largest collections of neon lamps in the country. I say that with tongue in cheek. There's always someone else out there who's got more. But I have got quite a few neon lamps from various places. The Americas, Russia, the continent. But today we're just specialising or talking on the 5-watt neon beehive, so named because the shape of the elements. The elements, by the way, were made of Swedish iron, a pure form of iron, which in age, okay, these did blacken down after so many hours of use. So if you've got one of these, you just want it for the collection, try not to use it too much, because the glass will darken down over time. Anyway, let's have a quick look before my camera runs out. Show you what it looks like lit up. There's the lamp lit up, typical orange glow. As I say, you don't see these lamps now, or very rarely, and if you do, they normally have a ridiculous price tag to them. So you might pick the odd one up from eBay, but it will be at a cost. Well, there we are. There's the shape. The later ones with the Osglim name, the shape of the beehive came more to a point. These are more rounded. It's hard to explain what I mean, but the earlier ones were this shape, and the ones before that were pip top. Yep, I've got a pip top one as well. But the thing to remember is not all of these had a resistor built in the cap. This one has. It's got a wire wound resistor to limit the current through to the electrodes. Some were used in radio work where they didn't need the resistor, in which case if you had applied full voltage to that, you've ended up with a bang and shattered glass, which happened to me as a kid many years ago. I found this old radio and it had one of these lamps in it. I can't remember whether it was a valve base or a screw base, but anyhow, I was so disappointed when I collected it up, turned the juice on, and bang. So I learnt my lesson many years ago. So not always are these lamps to be plugged into 240 volts or 110 volts depending what system you're on. A lot of them do not have resistors in the base, so obviously the warning there. But this one has. And recapping, I'm not going to go on too long, this was available in the 50s and the 60s, a time of year which I really liked. I remember the 50s and 60s. They were happier times. But anyhow, I could drift off and talk about that for ages. But that was when these lamps were popular. And as I say, they were used in photographic dark rooms with the ruby coating, or as indicator lamps, or a night light. If you've got a child that doesn't like the dark, and I hated the dark by the way, these would have been used to just put a gentle warm glow in the room. And they were very low energy, of course, 5 watts. is virtually nothing. So there we are, there's the lamp neon. I might hook another one up out today, see how it goes. I've got them from, as I say, from Russia, America and the continent. And while we're looking, I've got one, a continental one in use now, which I've had for years. Let me show it to you. There we are. That's one of the smaller half-watt jobs. I think it's by Siemens. Anyhow, that's the lamp. Any comments please make. You'll see these appearing on YouTube and that on various times. But this is the nice example, I think. A typical type of neon beehive you would find. There were other shapes made, which I can probably show you, but this is one we've got today. So once again, thanks again for watching. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm glad my information on the Virgin hub has been of use. So as I said before, anyone wanting to use their old rotary or dial-up telephone, have a look into Virgin, because I say the one I've got definitely works on both pulse and tone. So anyone thinking about doing that way, it'll save you getting one of those little gizmos that you put in. Anyhow, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee. Anyhow, thanks again for watching. Thank you.